Hi, I'm Marty Nemko. This fall, many schools will be providing just online education, so-called remote learning, which is unfortunately proving unsuccessful and is predicted to be even worse this fall. By the way, all assertions I'm making here will be in the article that I'll be publishing in Psychology Tonight, which is called Avoiding Education Armageddon. It should be up there by about 9 o'clock Pacific time on tonight, August 8th. In any event, I'll start again. This fall, many schools are going to be providing just online education, which is proving unsuccessful and is predicted to be even worse this fall. The result is that millions of parents are frustrated, angry, and forced to try to find, at a cost that many can't afford, childcare, especially if, like so many people, they've been let go or had their hours reduced. And even if they have jobs, most people have paltry savings, so they can't afford to spend that on childcare. And then there's the cost to kids. We dismiss the loss of learning and of socialization as merely temporary, but because no one can predict with any certitude when COVID will substantially dissipate, our children, our future, could have their prospects amputated, especially in an era in which U.S. employers, already burdened with high taxes and regulations, face more if, in the coming election, the Democrats win big, as is predicted. Dear viewers, consider asking a school principal or district administrator about one or both of the following ideas. One idea is relatively modest. The other is a reinvention of education that might merit continuing long after the pandemic subsides. The first is, I call it outdoor learning. The New York Times reports that in the tuberculosis epidemic of the early 20th century, 65 schools converted to outdoor learning, even in Rhode Island's frigid winters. Can we not, as I've written in the San Francisco Chronicle, at least until the cold weather hits, do outdoor learning amid the COVID pandemic? It would be far COVID safer than any indoor education. If it's one thing scientists agree, it's that COVID risk is much lower outside. Additional safety could accrue by having a morning and an afternoon session, making social distancing even easier. The second idea, more revolutionary, is what I call pod ed. Already, in response to the pandemic, many families are forming edupods. 3 to 10 kids are taught by a neighborhood parent in a backyard, a playground, or even in an apartment room with all the windows open. All would practice COVID hygiene, which is easier to monitor in edupods than in traditional schools. Of course, there would be challenges. For example, in some communities, it may be difficult to find sufficient parent-teachers. Well, that's where some of the many billions that we spend on public education will be directed to recruit, train, and support parent-teachers, a la the local parent-run Head Start. And if a shortage of parent-teachers remains, it can be filled from among the many would-be available credentialed teachers. Pod Ed would provide ultra-small classes and a level of individualization far greater than in traditional schools, and Pod Ed is more likely to provide localized cultural competency. And with so much quality curriculum available free on the net, even adults of average intelligence who don't have a teaching license could be expected to implement selected curriculum at least, and probably implement them quite adequately, at least with the aforementioned support. Is Pod Ed perfect? No. But consider that the status quo has long produced inadequate results, despite the U.S. spending nearly twice the OECD average. That's the average of developed nations. And I'm saying spending, I'm talking about per capita spending on education. For example, a Pew survey found that employers rate half of new graduates inadequate in critical thinking. And these are college graduates. Critical thinking, oral and written communication, and digital literacy, as well as in soft skills such as work ethic and leadership. And in international comparisons, year in and year out, American students are near the bottom among developed nations. The New York Times' latest report on PISA, that's the test that provides that international comparison, that article is titled, "It Just Isn't Working." So, given the greater individualization and cultural competence that's more possible in edupods, especially given many public schools providing just the dubious remote learning, isn't edupods worth pilot testing? Might you want to ask a local principal or district superintendent about that? One of COVID's few silver linings is that it invokes our creativity to come up with solutions. Regarding education's long failing to live up to its promise, perhaps necessity is indeed the mother of invention. In any event, I thank you for watching. I'm Marty Nemko. I welcome your thumbs up and accept your thumbs down. I always look forward to your comments, and I especially like it if you hit the share button below, share on your social media so that my efforts can have broader impact. And I am flattered if you choose to subscribe to my channel. And in any event, I do thank you for watching. I am Marty Nemko.